Welcome to We Learn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 15th of the subject Modern Indian Political Thought and the chapter Anti-Colonial Tribal Movements in India. Let's see the topics to be covered. Introduction, socio-economic profile of the tribals during the colonial period, the impact of the British policies on the tribals, salient features of the tribal movements, some major tribal movements in India. Introduction. The tribals of India, like other social groups, participated in the anti-colonial movement. The tribal anti-colonial movements were of two types. First, the movements against their oppressors, that is landlords, money lenders, traders, thekedars, contractors, government officials and Christian missionaries. Second, the movements which were linked to and merged with the Indian national movement. So, the tribals movements were of two types. First, against their oppressors who oppressed them, who suppressed them badly, the landlords, the money lenders who took their money and did not return them, the traders, the contractors, the government officials, the Christian missionaries who took their land and who also took their share and who also took their money. So, there was their concern and their movement was first against the oppressors, and the second, which was linked to the Indian national movement, to participate in the Indian national movement to make India free from the colonial rule. According to estimate, there were more than 70 tribal revolts over a period of 70 years, that is from 1778 to 1948. Socio-economic profile of the tribals during the colonial period. Rural India had been inhabited by the tribal population from the beginning. The tribal communities lived in relative seclusion and isolation for centuries and in varying states of economy. In spite of their contacts with the non-tribals, they maintained their separate identity. So they were secluded, they were distant, they were separate from the other non-tribals, but in spite of maintaining the contacts, they still maintained their separate identity. They lived in relative seclusion and isolation in different states of economy, in different states, Manipur, Tripura and other states as well, wherein they lived and they were secluded from the rest of the society, from the rest of the people who were doing various things, and they did not participate in their affairs, neither the people participated in their activities. So they were secluded and they participated in the movement for the India's independence. Each tribal community maintained its own social, religious and cultural life and political and economic organizations. So they had their own social, religious, cultural life, wherein they also had their own political and economic organizations, wherein they took help from them to gain insights. Until the arrival of the British in the tribal areas, the main means of production and subsistence for the tribals were land and forests. So, land and forest was the only means of production and subsistence for the tribals, and they were dependent on them. The impact of the British policies on the tribals. The British policies disturbed the traditional tribal systems. The tribal land system was marked by its corporatorial ownership of land and absence of the landlords. There were no landlords, that was corporatorial ownership of land, wherein the landlords were the owners of their land, and their self-sufficiency was disturbed, and also their own crop harvesting, that was also disturbed in a big way. But the British changed the land system of the tribals. They created the hitherto unknown class of zamindars, landlords in the tribal areas, but they were absentee landlords. They never came up, but their land was not remained in their hands. Brahmins and Rajputs were brought in the tribal areas of Chota Nagpur to perform military and religious services. For their roles, they were assigned the zamindari rights in the land. So the zamindari rights were assigned to the Brahmins and Rajputs who were brought for the military and religious services of the areas of Chota Nagpur. Forest policy. Till the middle of the 19th century, the tribals had customary rights in the forest. Their right to use the forest products was recognized. So, till that time, they were given the customary rights. They were legitimate to use the forest products at any point of time, and it was recognized. But the Forest Policy 1884 of the British curtailed the tribal rights to use the forest produce. But the Britishers curtailed the tribal rights to use the forest products, or they did not allow them to use the forest produce or the forest products. Moreover, the development of the communication system, that is telegraphic, roadways and railway services, and the introduction of the common administrative system ruined the natural economy of the forests. So, moreover, with the development of telegraphic, roadways, railway services, common administrative systems, they ruined the natural economy of the forest, the economy of the forest, the trees, and also the surroundings around them, that was ruined with the development of all these other services. These developments affected the tribals all over the country. So all these developments very badly affected the tribals economically, politically, and also socially. They affected the tribals all over the country because the tribals were dependent on the forest and the land for their sustenance. Salient features of the tribal movements. The tribals responded to their exploitation and oppression in the form of revolution and movements. They identified their enemies in the outsiders, Dikus, landlords, moneylenders, Thekedars, and missionaries, and European government officials. The Britishers, the European government officials, the Thekedars, moneylenders, they were their enemies, and they responded to their exploitation in the form of revolutions and also in the form of various movements which they held against them. They launched movements against their oppressors in their respective regions. So, in their own respective regions, they launched the movements against their oppressors. Their agitations against the outsiders could be called anti-colonial. So, against the outsiders, against the Britishers, their aggression or their movements, that was called anti-colonial, and that was for giving India the independence. And one was their own personal struggle with the outsiders, and the second was for the country. They revolted against them because of their exploitation in the form of encroachment on their land. They took their land away, which was their form of survival. Eviction from their land. They were also allowed. They were also not allowed to use the forest produce to be evicted from the land. An annulment of their traditional legal and social rights and customs. They were also not given. They were also shunned. The annulment stopped. Their traditional legal and social rights and customs were also stopped. The Britishers did that. They encroached on their land, and they also evicted them from their own land, and they also stopped their traditional legal and social rights and customs which they were following or which they were possessing from a long time. So their struggle and their revolt was against these oppressive policies of the government at large. Some major tribal movements in India. The first stirrings of tribal revolt were manifested in the later half of the 19th century. The tribals participated in the 1857 revolt, which spread all over the tribal areas. The people found themselves involved in it. So now in the 1857 revolt, which was the most famous revolt, the tribals participated in huge numbers and which was spread over all the tribal areas. They were angry, they were frustrated with the moneylenders, with the Thekedars, with the contractors, with the British government, and they participated in a big number and they became aggressive, and that found quite an involvement in it. Tamar revolts 1789 to 1832. The tribals of Tamar revolted over 7 times between 1789 and 1832 against the British. So they now had the awareness that yes, revolt can be revolt can be there against the Britishers or against their oppressors who took their land away or who evicted from their land or who encroached their land. They were joined in the revolt by the tribals of adjoining areas also: Midnapur, Koilpur, Dhada, Chachila, Jalda, and Sili. So the adjoining areas, the people from these areas also joined them in their revolt. They revolted against the faulty alliance system of the government. So the faulty system of the government, also against their encroachment of the land and the development of the networks which also ruined their lands and ruined their sustenance. These policies, they revolted against the faulty policies of the government. The Kherwar movement of the Santhals, 1833. This movement was motivated by the desire to return to an idealized past of tribal independence. In the past, tribals lived their own self-sufficient life. They were independent. They were independent of any other colonial rule. They were on their own. They used to have their own crops, their own land, their also own customary rights, social rights. So they wanted to return to their idealized past. The word Kherwar is said to be an ancient name of Santhals, and in their opinion, it is linked to the golden age of their history. So, Kherwar is said to be the ancient name, the old name of the Santhals, and it is linked to the golden age. It was considered a golden period where they enjoyed their customary rights and where they were given the rights to use the land and to use the forest products on their own. Santhal Revolt of 1855. This movement of the Santhals was against the exploitation of oppression by landlords who had unjust ownership of the land of the Santhals. So the landlords, they had unjust ownership of the land of the Santhals, which the Santhals did not tolerate, and they revolted against the exploitation caused by the landlords to them. This movement was also directed against the village money lenders and officials. It was also directed against the village money lenders who gave them money and who trapped them in the vicious circle of money, and also the officials, the village officials. Bokta Rising, Sardari Larai or Mukti Larai movement of 1858-95. According to Kumar Suresh Singh, this movement evolved through three phases: the agrarian phase, the agricultural phase, the revivalistic phase, the revival of ideas, and the political phase. Birsa Munda Revolt, 1895 to 1901. The movement of Birsa Munda is the most popular movement of the Munda tribes of Singhbhum and Ranchi districts of the Chota Nagpur region of Bihar. Devi movement in Gujarat, that is from 1922 to 23. Devi movement was initially a social movement which took place in South Gujarat in 1922 to 23. It was initially a social movement but later took the phase of the political movement. Tribal movement in Midnapur, 1918 to 1924. The Santhals, Bhumiji and Kurmi Mahato, tribals of Jangal Mahal in Midnapur, revolted against the British way back in 1760. So these tribes, the Santhals, Bhumiji and Kurmi, they also revolted against the Britishers in 1760 against their oppressive policies and against their encroachment of the land. Jitu Santhals movement in Malda, 1924 to 32. The Santhals of Malda district launched an anti-landlord movement in 1924 to 32. They launched an anti-landlord movement where their struggle was against their landlords and also who encroached their land and also who took their money. This movement got intertwined with the national movement. This movement, which they raged against the landlords, that also got merged with the national movement for gaining the India's independence. Tribals and national movement in Orissa, 1921 to 36. The movement covered the Orissa division of Orissa and Bihar, which was composed of Kuttak, Puri, Balasore, Angul, and Khondmals. The tribals, along with the other peasants, participated in the national movement in 1920s and 1930s. The tribals, along with the peasants and other farmers, they also participated in the national movement in this particular time. And tribals and the national movement in Orissa, in these areas, a lot of tribals took part in the national movement and also the movement against their oppressors because they got motivated to rage or revolt and due to their only source of survival and sustenance. Tribal movement in Assam, then Assam, Nagaland, Meghalaya and Mizoram. The tribals of Assam, which consisted of Assam, Nagaland, Meghalaya and Mizoram during the colonial period, resisted the move of the British to encroach upon their land. Now they resisted the move of the British. They raised a revolt against the Britishers to encroach their land. So that was all about making the tribal movements, the social movements, and also the revolt against the British Empire, the revolt against their oppressors, the money lenders, the contractors, the government officials who took their land away and who encroached their land, and also against the Britishers who also took away their rights to use the forest products, to use the forest produce, and basically making India free. So the tribals from many parts of the country involved themselves and participated in the struggle against the government. So that was all about in this session for you. And these are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. Question number 1, what was the land system of the Munda known as? Question number 2, which of the tribal movements suffered from the scourge of communalism? Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.